Kia ora te iwi and welcome to The Chew, coming at you from the studio here in Taumarunui, Arrowtown. Ko Arrowtown Dad TNA, and today we are chewing the fat with the bro Terry Te Wano. Kia ora, my bro.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou.
Yeah. All right. So, first of all, for all the listeners out there, we might end up speaking a little bit of Māori, and you may not understand a word we're saying, and I'm going to apologise, or not apologise in advance for that. So, yep, kia kaha, kia maia, kia manawa nui. Anyway, bro, what I'll do is I'll get you to introduce yourself, however you want to, and then we'll have a bit of a kōrero about you growing up.
Tēnā koutou, ko tongariro te maunga, ko taupo te moana, ko tūwhare tō te iwi, ko te hauhau te tangata, ko nā te hine mihi te hapu, ko kauriki te marae, ko Terry Te Wano tōku ingoa. Kia ora koutou.
So, I tipu ake koe I here, bro? Like, where did you grow up?
Me whānau mai au ki Taumarunui, in the central North Island. And koira te tino haukainga o tōku whānau.
Yep.
In the when I was a tino tamariki ka neke mātou ki Tāmaki-makaurau Auckland.
Oh, yeah.
And did most of my schooling in Auckland with various times of schooling in Taupo, in Taumarunui, but the majority of the time was in Tāmaki-makaurau.
What schools did you go to back then? So in Auckland, what school did you go to there?
So we had a home in South Auckland, along with many other
everyone else
that left their small country towns.
Yeah.
So it was a very idyllic childhood. So we were like the second home on the street, and we watched all the homes around us get built, and there were Māori kids from Ngāpuhi, from Tūhoi, from Tauranga, Samoan kids, Cook Island kids, Pākehā kids, and our vicinity to the airport meant there was a lot of airport workers. So there was always lots of things to do, lots of people to play with from a very different backgrounds. And, the majority had left their smaller towns coming to Tāmaki-makaurau for work opportunities. So, saying that, still very connected to their iwi and their haukainga. So, and that was no different for our family.
Yeah, so even though you kind of spent a lot of time growing up in South Auckland, would you say that the other Māori families that you interacted with were also still connected to their haukainga?
Definitely. So
that's good.
Yeah, there definitely was. I had a crew of little Maori boys who all wanted to play rugby. Yeah. But I also had, one of my best friends had red hair and freckles.
Yeah, right.
We were very close. So, that's that's the beauty about Tamariki. It's whoever you have an affinity with, that's who your friends are. And even though it was a predominantly Māori community, there was no them and us type mentality. Right. It was just we're all us, So
right.
Yeah, it was a great childhood. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So I'm gonna guess maybe you went to school in Mangere or
Yeah, so
Tāhuhu?
I went to school in Central Mangere, played rugby for Manukau Rovers,
Oosh.
Oosh, and then in my teen years, went over to the North Shore to a Māori school, Ōtautahi College.
Yeah.
It's a very tikanga Māori school. That time it preceded the Koanga Reo movement. So there was no kura kaupapa. There are a variety of Māori schools: St. Joseph's, Queen Victoria, St. Stephen's, Ato Petera, Ato Paora, Te Ote. So if you wanted to follow tikanga Māori, then you went to one of those schools. And the reason we went to Ato Petera was my father was an old boy, and he very much wanted us to know our tikanga and our Māori side. So hence we went to that school. So saying that, I'm one of 4 children, 3 brothers and one sister. I have an older brother and a younger brother, and the sister is our baby. She's the Portuguese of the family, but my older brother went to Hato Petera first, and being in the late 70s, early 80s, he would come home from boarding school, and then he would leave back to boarding school with a box of food, brand new clothes, a new tennis racket, new shoes, and then leave his secondhand hand-me-downs, and I would get his secondhand clothes, and he would leave with brand new clothes. So when it came time for me to take the step and head off to get patched up with the blazer and all the uniform and head off to boarding school, I was so happy.
Yeah, right.
Because I thought, well, I'm going to leave the school with new shoes, a new tennis racket, a box of food every week.
Did you play tennis, bro?
Yeah. Tennis, cricket, rugby, yeah. So, yeah, still, although me and my tuakana had a very confrontational upbringing, i.e. because he's always bigger, stronger, faster than me. I chose to be, while he was in Tāmaki-makaurau, if I had any chance to go to Taumarunui, then I would go to Taumarunui. So,
really?
Yeah, so we did not get on. In fact, we really didn't get on, which is probably the reason why I spent so much time in Taumarunui with my grandparents. Yeah, so my older brother was he got the big chop, he got the big plate of food, he got first dibs to
First dibs on
crust,
everything.
the first dibs on everything.
Yeah,
You got the
got to
first
sit
dibs
on the
all
front seat of the
clothes.
car. Yeah.
The front seat of the car, and then I got to have all his leftover clothes, shoes,
all his hand-me-down clothes. Yeah.
and the smaller chop. You know how that rolls. So
Yeah.
not
Also,
a sibling,
so
not a sibling rivalry as such, but there definitely was a winner and a loser, and I felt aggrieved, as every middle child does.
yeah. No, that's fair enough. So, you mentioned that you spend a bit of time in Taumarunui. Did you like go down there and go to school down there, or just for holidays?
Every holiday. So if school was breaking on a Friday night, Friday afternoon, I would be on a bus, a train, in the back seat of a relative's car, and then I'd gap that. I didn't care about my friends in Auckland, whoever. I didn't care about my brothers, my sister, my parents. If I could get out of Auckland and get to Taumarunui, I was gone. And probably, this is how times have changed. Probably from the age of about 7 onwards, my father would put me on a bus in Ōtautahi, and I would spend 6 hours on a bus by myself, change buses in Hamilton, and I'd get to Taumarunui, and my karawa would be waiting to pick me up, and then Sunday, probably around lunchtime, Sunday before I go back to school, Sunday at a lunchtime, I would catch a bus, train, the backseat of a relative's car, and get back to Auckland at whatever time of the night it was. And then Monday I would be back in school. So the biggest incentive for that was, one, I got to be with my karawa. Two, I got to be 200 k's away from my older brother. And you know, not spoilt by my grandparents, but I definitely felt blessed to be. I guess I just took it on myself that I was the favorite grandchild. Whether I was or not is another story. But I thought no one loves my grandparents more than me. So and by default,
you probably
my presence meant I was there more than anyone else.
You probably were their favourite because you spent so much more time. By the sounds of it, you spent more time than your other siblings with them.
Oh, definitely. And you know, if it came to a choice of disappearing with some first cousins, and you know, I had quite a big family, so my first cousins would come to my karawa's place, and then after a day or so, they would get hoha, and they'd say, "You want to come back to our place?" And I was going, "Nah." So, if it came to be leaving my grandparents' side, or you know, for some other thing, I was like, no, I wasn't interested. But you know, to put that to paint a picture, you know, they had their farm block, very simple home. Everything was heated by fire, so we cooked by like a wetback fireplace.
Yeah, right.
Heating was by fire. No hot water. Limited electricity. A phone that, you know, rang long, short, long, and when you picked up the phone, there was 10 other people on it.
Yeah. The old party line. Oh,
there was no inside toilet. The toilet was, you had to walk outside and walk into the paddock, and there was a long drop in the middle of the paddock. So if you needed to do number ones, it was against the paddock fence, and number twos by candlelight. And you know, I do remember, you know, sometimes being sitting in the whareiti in the middle of the night, looking at the stars, going, you know, looking around, going, "This is real better care, right?" Because in Auckland we had inside plumbing. So, but simple times, but very, you know, we had everything we needed, really.
Yeah.
So very enjoyable time.
And so would you consider yourself an Auckland, like at that time, would you have called yourself an Auckland kid or a Taumarunui kid? What do you reckon?
Definitely a paret. Like,
yeah.
You know, my definition of a paret is someone that follows their karawa around.
Yeah,
and then
just always hanging out at the marae.
Yeah. So I was always in the back seat. You know, when my grandparents had a very regimented routine. They were both. My grandfather was a kaumātua speaker on the marae, and my grandmother was a. It's funny how my grandmother did everything.
Yeah,
she birthed 10 kids.
Yeah,
she did
organised the kitchen.
She did she did harakeke. She made pew. She could weave. She could cook. She could sew. She knitted. I wish I'd kept some of those knitted jerseys. You know, some of them got a bit wonky in her later years. But she knitted things. She cooked. She made Te Reo Māori breed. They're very musical. Both my grandparents played instruments. My grandmother played piano. They could sing. They could haka. Yeah. So, which is, at that time, I guess they found ways of entertaining themselves. That was before TV even came
Yeah.
around. So.
I mean, if you think about it, that's back in those days, before TV, before supermarkets, before dairies on the corners. You had to make do with whatever was around you at the time, and for so many of our people, that was te taiao. You were either
Mm,
in the ngahere or you were at the mona, so you learn to do all those things
yeah,
relative to your environment, hey, and it's a different time today, eh, bro? Like we don't
definitely,
commit that kind of
definitely.
time anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The flip side to that is, they went from no TV, no communications to, seeing someone land on the moon and cellular
mm,
technology, in a lifetime. It was
mm.
quite a,
Yep,
and they were, and, a world war and the Vietnam War and all those other conflicts, so,
yeah.
um,
Anyway, bro, this quartet was about you and your upbringing. So you did your high schooling in Auckland at Hato Petera, is that right?
yeah,
On
so,
the Yep,
and then also, yep,
yeah, North Shore.
yeah, yeah, that was, going from a very, not a sheltered, but beloved upbringing with my kaumātua and with my immediate family to going to boarding school. It was very much a Lord of the Flies
Yeah,
type situation,
yeah.
So, I'd like to say bullying didn't exist, but it did. I'd
Oh,
like to
no
say
way, man.
I'd like to say that we were well fed, but we weren't.
We're at
I'd like
boarding
to say
school.
I'd like to say the food was good, but it wasn't.
Oh, I mean, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
boarding
So
school as well, but like we were always fed, but
we
we
were
didn't always
fed,
like
but
the food for sure. Yeah,
saying that, how many meals did you miss in boarding school? I don't think I missed any.
I didn't miss any. I went to
Yeah,
every
yeah,
single
yeah,
meal,
yeah.
bro. Yeah,
So it was
because
funny
yeah,
when I look back to some old school photos. Um, Everyone had a six pack, and there were not very many fat Maori kids. Um, a lot of hoopty
nah,
kids, a lot of hotutu kids, but
nah, yeah,
there were
yeah.
no
We're all
there were
pretty
no
fit.
fat kids. And that wasn't because the food was good. It's just
No, no.
because we were starving most of the time.
So did you play rugby all through your high school, bro?
Yeah, yeah. So played rugby, played cricket, played tennis.
What were you in cricket? What position?
Cricket, yeah, just
Were you better?
a bowler,
Bowler.
and a batter,
Hoo,
bowler and
hoo,
batter. But
hoo.
my sport I enjoyed was tennis. So
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, played against some really good players, and yeah, we won our competition one year and made it into the A1 competition and got to play the likes of Brett Stephen and other, you know,
Cool.
then turned into professionals. But I mean, school was really, sort of that was sort of my reintroduction into Te Reo Māori, into tikanga, into kapahaka, and he kura katarika. So
Yep.
very much a life filled with prayer, schoolwork, rugby, and tikanga Māori. So
Yep.
I I probably sat through about, I guess we would have had maybe two porphyry a week for, a lot of weeks. So but it was good. It was good to learn our waiata and haka
So
era momo mea.
how good was your reo back then? Were you able to speak at all?
To be honest,
Please be honest, bro.
yeah, it was more around. We used kupu Māori as weapons. So if we found it was if we could find something to use as nicknames. So every word I remembered from those times is really associated with with a nickname. So
And a derogatory
someone
one.
was not a derogatory, but you know what I mean. Nicknames may not sound hurting, but said
Oh,
in the context, so
they're not supposed to be good,
they're not supposed to be, but you know, uh, so yeah, there were the words like karuwha, momona, kehua, and we had I think one year we had Archbishop Desmond Tutu visit the school, and so we all asked him all these names for white man and all this, and then he started giving us African names, and he didn't know why we were asking for the African names of all these things, and then so everyone who was of fair skin, because white man and I think it was Zulu is toe bob. So there's about 10 toe bobs in our school. so,
Yeah,
we find a way to use our languages with them as well.
Yeah, well, just touching on something you were talking about there, like momona. See, we've all known momona means fat. Ever since we were young, that's always been the word momona. Bro, I never learned the Māori word for skinny until like quite recently, because there's just, well, like, I hate to say it, but in my family, we don't have a lot of skinny people.
Oh.
So you know the word momona because everybody's fat. Well, not everybody, but lots of people are fat. But I never knew the Māori word for skinny because nobody ever used it. So I didn't learn it till I got to like level 6. Te kupu? Oh, there's a couple. Tupuhi. Tupuhi is the one that I use nowadays. You can sort of use angi, but I think that doesn't really apply to people. Angi is like something slender and thin. Yeah. But yeah, tupuhi, tuai is another one. Yeah. So I've learned a few words for skinny.
Yeah, we had this this person who had a genetic condition, and which meant he basically couldn't have. He was like an albino, and he had no facial hair, and poor fella, beautiful guy, lovely man, but his name was Kehua as long as I knew, because he
of course,
just looked like Kehua.
Of course, I mean,
so
yeah, one of my cousins that I grew up with, he was a younger guy. I mean, his name was, like, you just don't get away with naming anybody that these days, but everyone just screamed his name out, hey, and without a second thought. But now you never get away with using a nickname like that. Yeah.
But,
different time, bro.
Different time, yeah.
Hey, so when you finished high school, what did you get up to after that?
I wanted to go into the trades, so I had a career in communications for about 15 years with the post office and telecom and other
telecom.
variations of that, and then got married, had a child, and then sort of got very interested in maybe returning back to Te Reo Māori.
Yep.
So, that was part of the start of didn't really know why. It just sort of felt like it was time to, do something about it. And, thankfully at that time, I think Te Wānanga Aotearoa had really started to get some traction. And my wife had enrolled in a course. And I thought, well, if my Cook Island wife can take a course, then I've really run out of excuses. So
yeah,
it was
bro.
time.
I get that.
It was time.
So how long ago did you come back to your Māori language journey? Like, was it fairly recently?
Yeah, was really taken the really slow route. Not by Yeah, it just sort of circumstances is so I did level one and two 2005 and then moved
2005.
yeah, so it was quite early on and then it was sort of really enjoyed it and then sort of life got on the way a little bit and then I moved to Ōtautahi for basically once we started in the construction industry, I moved to Ōtautahi post-earthquake to see if I can make a difference down here. And once here, I got involved in sort of supporting my son in kapahaka and Māori support groups for, Tāmaki-makaurau at the school he went to Boys High. So I guess exposure to hui, karakia, waiata, kōrero, sort of that was really the catalyst to start re-kick my journey. So 2015 I enrolled into level 3 and 4 with Te Wānanga.
2000 and what year was that?
2015.
15.
Yeah.
Sure.
A little bit of a break.
That was 10 years after you did your first course. Far out.
And then I waited another.
But did you struggle to remember what you learned from level 1, level 2, or did you already kind of know enough to be able to do?
I found level 1 and 2 to be
really
basically easy. Nothing that I hadn't learned in school C, UE, Māori. And already had a big. The only thing that I probably saw the change from my studies at Aotearoa was there was a lot of kupuhau. I didn't know what a rorohiko was. There was no waiapuro. So, hangaro had turned up and now our language had started to evolve around mea hau. So apart from that, still had a sort of beginner type level of kupu and understanding, and still very comfortable saying a basic mihi and pepeha. So those things. So I could always sort of haka. I could always haka, and I could always sing waiata, do karakia. But there comes a time when you need to evolve with. So I did find level 3 and 4 to be quite enjoyable, and then another 5-year break. And then when I did Roenakitanga, that was when it was time to pull the socks up and really get stuck in.
I've just realised this now, bro. So to people listening out there, the reason Terry and I know each other is last year we both enrolled into level 7 Te Pīnakitanga ki Te Reo Kairangi, which is the level 7 Te Reo Māori course through Te Wānanga Aotearoa. And Terry lives in Ōtautahi Christchurch. I live down here in Kāmuriwai, Arrowtown. But thankfully our kaiako let a group of us from down in this region join the Christchurch class. So this is how we ended up meeting each other. Got on, because of our common age and common experiences and, lots of commonality, bro? But I have noticed that I came back, so I didn't do level 1 and 2 because I just thought, nah, I already know that. like, oh, I don't want to waste my time doing a whole year of 1 and 2. So I went straight into level 3, 4. It was harder than I thought it was going to be, even though I thought, I know level 3, 4, this is easy, but it was quite hard for me because there were things that I'd never learned before. I did mine in 2016, bro. So you did yours in 2015. So
Yes.
I only just realised that we did our level 3 and 4 around about the same time. I had I think it was a 4-year break before I did Rōnakitanga. So again, I had a big gap in between. Not because I didn't want to, but we just didn't have opportunities to do Rōnakitanga, and then one came up, so I enrolled. So I think I did Rōnakitanga in 2020, I think. I'm going to say.
I probably did it the same year. Probably the same year.
Mm.
Who was your kaiako?
Rusty Johnston.
Oh,
So down here in Murihiku, yeah. But yeah, and then a couple of years after that, I did Opikitanga, and Joni was one of my teachers. I ended up having 3 that year because of a whole bunch of stuff happened in our
that was
our year.
Hui Topa, right? That was under the top.
Yeah, Hui Topa. I
Was
mean,
that COVID too? During COVID?
no, COVID had already gone past by then. So this was after COVID. Yeah, and then about a year and a half later, we enrolled into Pinakitanga with you, bro. So it's quite funny now that I think about it. We've actually gone a very similar journey,
Yeah. And I had Joni and Te Pikitanga.
Oh, did you?
I had Joni and Te Pikitanga, and then we both had
Uripikia, yeah.
last year. So but would I say level 5 I found very difficult, but Koe anō, ka tīmata anō i te aupikitanga, and found that very challenging as well.
Yeah.
And then the main reason why I wanted to do Te Pinakitanga was like I'd sort of come so far. I thought, well, I might as well go all the way.
Absolutely.
And really to whakamana Te Wānanga
Te Wānanga, yeah.
For giving me the gift of having a level of competency in Te Reo. And trying to fill the classes and so felt very blessed. Felt a little bit out of my league actually, being amongst some of our tauira who are sort of very skilled and very dedicated. So
you get that all
I
the time.
didn't pass Pinakitanga last year.
Yeah, but that's a choice you made, bro.
Yeah,
because you could have easily passed that if you wanted to, but you did the right thing and said, you really didn't feel like you earned that pass. So, part of me was sad that you didn't finish it off with us, but I'm actually really I'm really kind of proud of you, bro, for digging your heels in and saying no, I'm not going to do it until I'm ready to do it properly.
Well, it's having a level of competency and then having a tohu is really. I just don't want to be a puawai or Te Pinakitanga and then not have the level of competency that I feel that tohu.
Awesome.
Kamats as such.
Awesome.
So. I would have loved to have a grasp of the idiosyncrasies of that academic tohu. But I mean, just it is what it is, it's not there yet, but very much a work in action. As I say, I'm looking forward to it now. It's sort of, the first year was last year was very difficult, but
Bro, you did well, man. Like,
Perseverance. Hey, I'm just going to stick to it. And, I sort of encourage anyone on their te reo journey. You feel you're behind. Some days you'll be behind. Some days you'll be ahead.
Yeah. The language does smack you around a bit.
Yeah, it does beat you up. Some days you, last year, bro, there were times I go to class, and it literally was like I was listening to Japanese because our kaioko was heading off, and then I would sit in the car park after class, just going, holy hell, all of that just went over my head. What are you doing in this class? What are you doing? And I'm looking around at all my mates, and of course I see Corey and some of our really great students, and I'm going, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they got it. And then I'm looking around at the rest of us, and I'm going, well, I know I didn't get it, so I'm pretty sure there's about 3-4 others who didn't get it.
Bro, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes we all don't get things. Because, when we have the hui topa groups and we break into groups, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I didn't really pay attention. I didn't really catch what she said about this bit. And so when someone joins me in the room, I'm like, oh, so what were the instructions again? And they go, oh, I don't know. I didn't understand a word that she was saying. And I'm like, because I find her instructions easy to follow, and there's the odd word I don't know, so I'll have my phone out and I'll be Googling it. So, but generally speaking, I understand it quite easily. But I notice sometimes my mind wanders. Like I'm in class and people are talking and they're asking questions. As soon as people start asking questions, my mind wanders because I'm like, oh, I'm not interested in this, so I'll think about other things. And then she'll give instructions about what we're doing, and then I'm like, oh crap, I wasn't listening to that bit. So, and it's always funny that when I talk to some other people and I'm like, oh, so what's our instructions? And they're like, I don't know, didn't understand a word she said. And I'm like, oh crap, oh.
Yeah, so this is the difficulty of learning a second language. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, and the overriding, my overriding whakaaro around the pathway to success and learning, anything, but especially te reo, is that. There were days, a lot of them more than I'd like, where I walked out of class, sat in my car, thought, man, I am really out of my depth here. And then I'd go home and then I'd have a think about it, and then normally ring you and go, bro, I need some help. I'd ring my friends and I'd go, hey, I need some help here. And then I'd really sit and I was going, man, it would be so easy just to walk away. And just, just sort of go, put the tail between your legs and then just forget about it. And then I just keep telling myself, let's come back. Yeah. Let's come back one more time.
Yeah.
Maybe it will get better. And it didn't get better, but I just kept coming back.
It did get better, bro.
So,
come on.
So, sometimes, and then, it was a case of, I just thought, whether I'm getting it or not, I just thought I'm just going to whakamana my kaioko, tautoko my classmates. I'm just going to keep coming back. And,
bro.
Maybe I might have added a bit of harmony to the class waiata, so that might have been my
was that your contribution, was it, bro?
Yeah, that could have been my contribution, or maybe it was bringing some cream piles or some or bringing some rewana bread to the next class, so help me with a little
Nah, bro. It was this kind of thing. This is what you brought to the class, bro. The hōtanga,
oh,
the kōrero hatakihi, bro. Like we were always having laughs in class C. It was
yeah.
I really enjoyed that, you know. Um,
And some of our classmates were just phenomenal to be around. So that's one thing I've always that's something that you can't really put a um, you can't really quantify the value of the human interaction. And, some of our classmates tauiwi.
yeah,
You just have an
that's right.
interest in learning something new. Some of them are Maori like us who just
Maori.
want to capture your reo.
Yep,
Maybe ka eke te pai pai,
yep,
or further their careers, their kaiako. Um, um, so we all have different reasons for
yep.
for taking that journey, but you know, he aha te rerekētanga, he whānau tahi pāta, right? So,
Yep, yep.
and so I've, you know, every class that I've been involved with Te Wānanga, I still have very fond memories, fond admiration for my kaiako and my classmates. Feel
Yeah,
very blessed with that.
well, see, the thing is, bro, now that the rest of us, you know, from the class have completed our level 7.
The rest of you,
Sorry, bro, had to throw that in there.
yeah, okay,
But
yeah,
well, yeah, but here's the thing. So this is the point I was going to make. We've all completed level 7. It means for many of us, there's nothing more to go on. You know, there's Te Tohu Pairua, which is like a master's degree, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form prepared for that. So it's going to take me a while to get up to speed to go into that, if I even do it. So there's not a lot of pathways left. So you know what? Like, I'm envious of you, bro, because you get to go back into Uripikia's class this year and you get to
yeah,
do it all over again. I really wish I could go back and do it all over again. Not in order to do better on my assessments, but just to be a part of that learning
yeah,
journey. Obviously, for all of us who were in the class, we didn't all learn every single thing she taught. We learned what we could, you know, in the short amount of time and in the short amount of attention span that we had. We were picking up what we could. But in every single class, there was just so much good information that we could have learned, and I would love to go back and sit in all those classes again, bro. But you know,
oh,
being down this way, it's a bit hard to do that.
yeah. And to be fair to the Wānanga, when you start a level 4, a level 5, a level 6, a level 7 paper, they do encourage you to have 40 hours of study,
Yeah,
and some weeks it might be 20 hours of study, some weeks it might be 1 hour of study, or some weeks it might be the 2 hours on the Tuesday night before the Wednesday class, or some weeks it might be sitting in the car before the class starts. The point is that if you do follow the pathway that's set with the resources that are available, success will ensure. But unfortunately, life gets in the way, and um,
it does, bro.
so that's the other challenges. You just finished a day's work, and I'm in construction, so you know you turn up to class, and the first thing you want to do, you've had a shower, you've had a kai, you turned up to class, and the first thing you want to do is you've had a karakia, you've had a thing, and then you're just sitting around surrounded by your mates, and what do you want to do? Have a moi?
I know, bro. I knew you were heading here because this is one of the funniest things I find when I go to night classes. So people are so busy in their everyday lives. They have financial responsibilities, they got family responsibilities. So trying to eke out 3 hours on a
Oh,
Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m. at night. By about 8 o'clock, man,
oh,
some
you're
people are
done.
fading, bro. Yeah, and I'm like, I,
You're
it, I,
you're
I,
done.
I don't. I'm nothing special, but I just don't. I'm not the kind of person that like falls asleep in class. Just
Yeah,
not
yeah,
usually a thing. So I
right.
I actually entertain myself by watching other people falling asleep. It makes me crack up laughing. Eh?
Well, it's probably because you understand all the money that's going on, and you're not looking at the
Yeah.
dictionary for kupu ho. So, that's
Well, as soon as
it's
stuff gets
pretty.
hard,
Yeah,
as soon as it gets hard, whatever mahi you're working on, whatever activities we're doing, or translations you're trying to do, as soon as it's
mm,
hard, that just increases your likelihood of falling
yeah.
asleep. Eh? I could just see people. They get the worst. The worst of it is when we're working on the hardest problems. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, you know, with the difficulties aside, if it wasn't difficult, um, you know, um, would it be worth doing? And I'm saying, it's not easy. It does require a lot of effort, and it does require a big commitment. Um, but I mean, the rewards are far outweigh, the work. So,
yeah.
the times where I've had opportunities to converse with kaumātua and te reo. Well, uh, here's one example. I just last year I was going back for a family hui, and my tuakana picked me up, and he had his 4-year-old mukapuna in the car, and she's a kohanga reo tamariki, and I started talking to her in te reo, and then once she realised that I could converse in te reo, then she went off. We were talking about taro mai nuku, we were talking about the whetū, we were talking about all these paki waitara,
Yeesh.
and I was we had a 45-minute conversation on the trip home to my tuakana's place,
Wicked.
and I was so thrilled to hear the enthusiasm and the level of there was some kupu she didn't understand,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so come the question, yeah, tērā, so but there was a lot she didn't understand. So I don't know what they were doing in a Koanga Reo, but I mean I think maybe I need to spend some time there because her understanding of na Paki Waitara was a bit more advanced than probably some of the Pinakitanga people in my
Yeah. Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, for
so
sure.
yeah, there's so little trips like that, or every time I go to sit with Whaia Keke, Matutau I Te Reo, and that's one thing you notice. You tell people you're a student of learning, and then they hold you accountable for that. So everyone who's a Matutau speaker of Te Reo my whānau now only speak to me in Te Reo. So that's it's not. They use that as an aki, as an encouragement um, and it gives them someone else to speak Te Reo. And unfortunately, Te Reo is only something that you use at home. I use it at
Mm.
home with my wife, and then with all the Maori speakers, mostly my classmates, and then family. So it would be nice to be in an environment where Te Reo was the first spoken language. But I mean, that's a challenge we all as
Got to go to Kurareo,
um,
bro. You got to
yeah, yeah,
enroll and go to Kurareo. So I've enrolled. Now I'm just waiting to hear if I get in. But yeah, you should have enrolled at Kura Reo, bro. Like,
I'm,
it's not for high level. It's not only
yeah.
for high level speakers. It's for people who are just on their journey as well. Yeah. But so here's a question for you, bro. Hea te whainga matua o tō ako reo Māori.
Um,
So what's your
ai,
main objective
ai,
with your
ai,
learning?
tātai,
Yeah.
tātai pai tērā. Um, ai, ētahi wā o ngā pōwhiri.
Yep.
So,
Whai
ngā
kōrero?
pōwhiri, ngā whai kōrero, ngā karakia. So, because there's been times when I've been at, I've gone on with an ope. We haven't had a speaker.
Yeah.
Or we've had a reluctant speaker, and I thought, you know what, I really want to have that ability to do that, and I have done it in the past, but probably not with proficiency that I would have liked. So that
Yeah.
was a catalyst for really spending some time in level 5, roinakitanga, upekitanga, and kapinakitanga. So when I am back home, and my place in the kitchen has been, the door has been shut on my place in the kota. So I have a tenuous tunnel to
Is
the
that
pai.
is that because you're like me and you're shit at doing mahi in the kota?
I love it. I love the kota. The kota is
Do
the
you?
best place.
Oh
I
no, man.
absolutely love it.
No.
I
I'll
just
leave that.
can't wait. But
I'll leave all that for you, bro.
yeah. But I mean, I've been shut out of the kota, so every time I try and put on the gumboots and the swanee and make my way there,
And the butcher
I get
knife.
I get the aunties just go, no, go put on your kakahu and go sit on the pai with your kaumātua. So and whether that's just to sit there and kōrero, or whether that's just to tautoko, or whether that's, to do the odd mihi or the odd mihi whakatau.
I think it's all of the above, bro. You
All
know.
of the above,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because different situations will decide which one you do, I guess. Yeah.
and we all know that look, and so the one thing I know, that whenever I go home, I really, you know, I'm really sort of preparing myself mentally, because you there's no free seats on the pai pai. Yeah, you're sitting on the pai pai. You better be ready, and it's funny is that when there's an ope being karanga on and you're waiting, and then you look to the rangatira or the pai pai, you're sort of not wanting to look, but you can't help it. You're doing this, you're like, oh, but I hear a really good mihi here. You're sitting there thinking, what is this? And then no one's walking out, and then you look to the rangatira, and then you get this. Yeah, so the dreaded, that's the you're up, bro.
So
Yeah,
to answer the question, then your whangamatua, your main objective is to prepare yourself for that mahi, wherever it might be, if it has to be on the
whatever
pai.
that looks like. Yeah, whatever that looks like. I suppose to be ready and to be a servant. You know what I mean? Our kaumātua led a
Oh,
life of service.
you can cook me
You know what
dinner
I mean?
anytime, bro. That's all good. You can be
Yeah,
my servant anytime.
yeah. So and the biggest gift you can give your people is, one, to be there. Which is very difficult. Being, e noho ana ki te Waipounamu. We're a long way from home. We both are. But whenever I am home, I take the responsibility of whatever is required, and if it's if that's mowing the lawns, or if that's preparing a meal, or if that's sitting on the paipai, kei te pai tira. So, but you need to be ready, and I'm very cautious is that if you're going to do that mahi, you need to do it to the best of your ability, and whether it's sweeping the floor, or preparing a meal, or doing a whai kōrero. And unfortunately, a lot of the rural townships don't have the level of proficiency in kōrero Māori that we would like. But
yeah, that's a weird thing, because in my experience they do, but at a once they've grown up, got to that sort of early 20s stage, they end up leaving the takiwā.
yeah,
So it's really hard to retain young people back home, especially young people who grew up as ahika, who grew up with the kōrero, who grew up with the meta, who grew up seemingly to be sort of nurtured into the taking over type roles. But then, you can't fault them for wanting to go out into the big world and, go on a OE or look for mahi that pays good money. And it's just really hard in the small towns to retain some of that expertise and skill set, and you see it, bro. I see it. Our pakeke are getting older. If we actually stop and think about it for a second, you and I are actually those pakeke now, even though we used to thinking, oh no, that's my uncle and auntie's job, and like no, we're almost at that age where that's our job, bro. So now, my reasons for learning Te Reo Māori go way back. I always knew I wanted to learn Te Reo Māori. And like you, bro, I had an eye on, if I'm being like really truthfully honest, in the ignorant me back then, when I made a decision to really get into learning Te Reo Māori, the thing that got me was my own ego. I would look at the top guys doing whai kōrero, and I would go, ooh, that looks mean. Oh yeah, that's what I want to do, and yeah, I'm going to do that, So I selfishly thought, well, all I have to do is commit like 2 or 3 or 4 years. I'm a really fast learner. I can learn all this stuff, and then that'll be me. I'll be that guy showing off, because that was an ego thing on my part, bro. But once you come through that door, and you really take on the whole of Te Ao Māori through the reo lens, or through the kōrero lens, man, my mindset, my mind has shifted massively. Like I have humbled myself into understanding now that I don't demand a place on the paipai. I have to earn it. I have to be asked to. I can't go and demand that I sit there, and realistically, I'll be lucky in my lifetime if I achieve the level required to hold the mana on the paipai, correctly, especially for where I come from in Ngāti Porou. There's an expectation that if you're on the paipai that you have not just the reo but the mātauranga. You've got to have the whakapapa and genealogy knowledge to be able to connect people. Bro, that takes a lifetime to learn that stuff, So, I got quickly humbled very, I got humbled very quickly from my initial sort of thoughts about what I was going to do when I learned my te reo. But even though that whole mindset has shifted, what Te Reo ended up doing was opening up this whole other world, which is a personal world. It's not a world where I get to show off. It's a world where I get to learn, and I get to, open my mind to all the various things about Te Ao Māori that are just beautiful and deep, So, yeah, it's funny, eh?
Yeah, tautoko your whakaaro.
Yeah.
I think, personally, is that when you make yourself available to serve different kaupapa, whether that's kapahaka, whether that's school boards, whether that's
Yeah.
supporting matatini or even just any sort of kaupapa at all, and you just say, yeah, hey, I'm here. I can speak to Reo. I want to do more, and then opportunities, because there's always work for someone, and I know you do so much work with celebrating Matariki and Waitangi Day and other kaupapa for your hapuri. And it's not enough to have the reo. It's not enough to have the whakapapa. It's right. You have to humble yourself, but be prepared. So we've both started that journey. We're both prepared to do that mahi.
I think we know that we should be prepared. That if there's one thing I'm learning is that I need to be prepared.
Yes.
It's a different thing to say you are prepared. It's one thing I know is I should be prepared. And so, I think at our level, bro, we do our best to prepare ourselves, knowing that that's the requirement, and you do the best you can. I feel like it'll be another decade before I'm ever anywhere near the levels of the people that we already see on the Pai. I've personally got a long way to go to reach that, but what I can do is keep trying to upskill, keep trying to get better, and not do it out of ego's sake, but do it out of requirement because we're losing so many of our pakeke, hey? So people have got to be available to step up, and I would rather do a really bad version of something than have no one representing our marae. Yeah.
Yeah. And you never want to say that, but I mean, but representation and service is better than no service and no tika.
So, So,
but isn't it great to when I've been at home and been fortunate to be around some of our gifted speakers and to see how easily they go through kariaroto, through karakia, kōrero waiata, kōrero akiaki, kōrero aroha, and then they go into they can pull out a memory or something that's of someone.
See, this is the thing I like about the tangihanga process, is people get warts and all, and I'm sure you've seen it too, bro, where people will get up and they don't always have nice things to say about the tūpapaku, and like my cousin, bro, he was so funny when one of our nans died, and he got up and he said something along the lines of, he goes, oh, Nan, you weren't the nicest person sometimes. Actually, most of the time you're pretty nasty, and we're all, now he's got,
we're all going, you're right.
Yeah, no, we're all like, we're laughing because it's true. But, like he's not a nasty fella. He just doesn't have a filter. He's just like, I just say what I think is right, and so we were fully supportive of him because, we love all our nannies, but yeah, she was a bit hard, bro, so, but it's always good to hear that some people just come out and say the truth, because sometimes some of the mihi can be like, when you listen to Poroporaki, you're like, man, that's not the person I remember, because everyone's just showering them with all this praise, eh?
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I never heard of that. And so, It's good
There
to
is
hear it go the other way sometimes.
there is a different whakaaro, AI te, te taunga, te pukenga o ētahi kai kōrero. So we always have that uncle, right? Who gets up and says beautiful things, and then he's got the whānau in the grip of the speech, and they're all in fits of laughter, and we're just going, oh, this is classic. This is classic uncle. He's got everyone going, and then we're going, okay, sit down now. And then he's got you for 5 minutes, and then you're sort of 7 minutes, you're all going, oh, this is great. And then 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes, we'll all go, oh, sit down now.
Well,
So
bro,
that's the
uh,
beauty of a gifted
we
speaker knows
we all
when is enough.
we all hate those kaumatua that are like pou, bro. They just go on and on and on, and then
Yeah,
and the worst of it, bro, is they pull out the old "no reira e te iwi," and then you're like, oh, finally wrapping up,
he's
and
all.
then he carries on, and then it's like, hey, I thought you said no reira. I thought you were finishing his, but really it's a no reira for that part of his kōrero, and
Yeah,
now
yeah,
I've got to
yeah.
start a whole new
Kahuri,
one, you know.
kahuri. Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, yeah, we have the in-house joke between myself and my wife with this uncle. Beloved. He's beloved amongst our whānau. He's one of the greatest uncles you could get. He tells great stories for like about 10 minutes. And whenever, and I'll say his name, whenever Uncle Paul gets up and then he says a beautiful first half and then loses everyone. And then I'll always look over to my wife, and then my wife will look back to me and she'll go, tata, tata.
oh,
Tata means close.
yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah.
close to getting it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
You,
nah.
oh, bro, the ones that crack me up is when they pahu for ages, like they prattle on and go on and on and on, and it's like maro ke rawa atu kōrero e. So you're like, oh man, this is so boring, and it goes for like 20 minutes, and then just before he finishes, he'll like start telling a little story. You know, he'll go, oh, and then this thing happened, and then we're just about to find out what happened, and then I'll tell you the rest some other time. And then, no reira, tēnā koutou. And then he'll finish, and everyone will go, no, tell us the end of the story. And of course, he's sitting there going, oh, they always want me to carry on talking, these fellas. They always want me to carry on talking. I'm like, no, we don't. It was that little 2 minutes at the end that was interesting, but 20 minutes of bloody. Anyway, that's some of that funny stuff that we see on the pi, bro, or that we see just in Māori situations all the time. Anyway, I got a bit off track, bro. We're actually almost over time to wrap up. But before I do, I am going to ask you one question. Just one question, bro. Might take a little bit of thought, or maybe you know it straight off the top of your head. But if you were to go back in time and to give some advice to 18-year-old Terry, what would that advice be?
Probably would have started my real journey earlier.
Yeah.
Probably spent more time with loved ones, and just
That's a good one.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just it's as you've gotten older, you're very conscious of the people who aren't around you. You know, probably just that. And probably be a bit easier on yourself. I think we just take it beat ourselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mistakes are made, wrong choices are made, and keep rolling with it, and just learn from them, and just keep going.
Don't beat up on yourselves, whānau. There you go.
Yeah.
Wise words.
Yeah, and keep coming back. Keep coming back. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Kaue mate wheke, mate ururoa. There you go. All right, bro. So before we wrap up, have you got any last thoughts, any last kōrero before we sign off?
Yeah.
No? None?
No. No. Let me tell you the story. There was. No. No. I a little disheartened by the kāwanatanga around ngā mea tiriti. So that's one whakaaro. But excited about this year and excited about carrying on the Te Reo journey.
Cool.
And encourage anyone, tauiwi, Māori, Parānei, take a class, learn some kupu, learn a waiata, and I think New Zealand's made, Aotearoa's made big steps forward, but we got a long way to go. So
Cool.
Maybe I'll be a kaiako one day. Maybe I'll be in your class again. Maybe I'll be a whirurua.
You should, bro. You should. Yeah. I really enjoy teaching beginner Te Reo Māori. Love it. Absolutely love it. I've got a class tomorrow to teach. And I've got a brand new class starting next week as well. So I've got heaps of beginner classes on the way. Yeah. And it's fun, man, because it's easy, A, E, or U type stuff. So not hard, bro. Yeah. And I take a lot of comfort from watching the joy that people get from, not just from learning, but because I like to make the classes fun. I don't like to make them too serious. So, you bring a bit of fun and energy to a class and you see the enjoyment of the learning. So,
and just lastly, for those of us who weren't blessed with kura kaupapa whangareo and had to take this journey as an adult, it's a mamae that's taken a long time and to let go of, and thankfully I feel like when you reach a level of maramatanga, can let go of that mamae. So that's another for how you can give to yourself if you're a pakeke tangata Māori who feels that they've missed the bus. So start today.
Yeah, that's right.
Start today, and that's part of the year.
There you go. There's your final tip. Don't just wait for the bus. Ride the bus. Like, get on it. Don't spend all your time just waiting for it. Awesome, my bro. So, nō reira, e mihi atu nei ki a koe, e te rangatira, e te whatukora o tūwhare toa, tainui hoki, i te toha mai o kōrero, me o wheako, i runga i te āhuatanga o te tāne Māori, nō reira, ka nui aku mihi ki a koe. Thank you for that, my bro. Really appreciated the hōhonu rawa atu kōrero about ako i te reo Māori, about learning Māori. And hopefully, bro, we might end up getting you back on at some point so we can see how you're progressing with your studies or with our studies. And yeah.
There'll be a test.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, well, we can all help you out anyway. Nō reira te iwi, if you enjoyed that, click the like button down there, the little thumbs up icon. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time on The Tube. Mā te wā.